HarperCollins presents Her Name is Alice. My Daughter, Her Transition, and Why We Must Remember Her. By Caroline Litman. Read by Caroline Litman. Trigger warning. Some listeners, trans and cis, may find discussions of suicide, self-harm, body dysmorphic disorder, and body mutilation distressing. Some names and identifying characteristics have been changed in order to protect people's privacy. If you find yourself affected by any of the themes raised, you can find resources at www.carolinelitman.com. For Alice, and for Kate, Harvey, and Peter, who must live without her. Prologue. When my third child was born, I was told I had a boy. The baby was given a boy's name and raised in that gender. But when she died, 20 years later, she died as my daughter, and will forever be remembered that way. Throughout this memoir, Alice is referred to as Alice, whether I'm writing about her before or after her transition. She had a different name for many years, but this is commonly referred to as a dead name, and I choose not to use it. I also use she and her pronouns to talk about her throughout. In this way, I acknowledge what I believe Alice wanted, to have been seen as a girl from the start. I use the word trans to describe any individual who was assumed one gender at birth but lives as a different one. Very occasionally, I use the word cis to describe anyone who is not trans, anyone whose internal sense of gender aligns with their sex assigned at birth. I do this where required to make it clear I'm talking about people who are not trans. Some people consider the word cis a slur. I use it as a descriptor, for clarity. A trans woman is assigned male at birth but identifies as female. By assigned male at birth, I mean the midwife announcing proudly, "It's a boy," due to the presence of the typical male genitalia of a penis and testes. This is what happened with Alice. And what is this, my story? A story of joy, fear, regret, anger, shame, love, confusion, hope, and almost unbearable sadness. My story is this, that for a long time Alice had a different name, was raised with all the expectations that her earlier name bestowed. She was a more vulnerable and precious child than I could ever have imagined having the privilege to know. A child for whom living as she deserved to live is all too often a subject for political, religious, and journalistic debate and dinner-table entertainment. A child who taught me humility, tolerance, and compassion, yet a child born into a society that struggles to understand her and her kin, and seems to offer little tolerance or compassion in return. This is the story of her childhood, of our special bond that felt sublime, almost supernatural, as though nothing would ever break it. It is the story of a breakage, how in one profound way I was not connected to Alice at all. For a long time, there was something deep and fundamental in her makeup that she did not know herself, so how could I? It is the story of her first tentative steps along the rocky path towards transition, and how, at first, I was not much better than those dinner party guests I scorn. I was afraid, and in my desperate attempts to maintain the status quo, I would at first put her at considerable risk. And I'm not particularly unusual or unique in this response. I'm fairly typical of many of my peers with my fears, doubts, and misunderstandings. And when life seemed at last to be running smoothly, being kind to me, I would cry, "Why Alice? Why her? Why me? Why this?" It is a story that tells how fear, both hers and mine, that might so easily have destroyed her before she had the chance to embrace her true self, turned to acceptance and the embracing of difference. It is a story about change, for both of us, and the hope that blossomed that final spring.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?